Welcome to Vibrate Higher, the podcast that takes you on a transformative journey towards aligning with your higher self, unlocking the depths of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding within you. I'm your host, Joelle, mindset coach and founder of Synergy Group. I'm here to guide you on a path of self-discovery and personal growth. Each episode of Vibrate Higher is crafted with intention, combining ancient wisdom, modern insights, and practical techniques that can be applied to your everyday life. We'll explore various spiritual practices, mindfulness techniques, and self-reflection exercises, all aimed at elevating your consciousness and aligning with your higher self. Get ready to embark on an epic adventure. This is Vibrate Higher. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vibrate Higher. Today's episode is focused on shifting from living in survival mode to living in creation mode. And this is going to help you learn how to self-soothe yourself, how to heal yourself, and how to design your ideal life. So let's get started. So let's talk about your subconscious mind. Everyone knows that I am obsessed with the subconscious mind and the superconscious mind and how they all interconnect. And one of the fundamental items that contributes to living in survival mode versus creation mode is our subconscious mind. So let's talk about why. So the subconscious mind's main role in our lives is about survival. So let's think back to our ancestors. Our ancestors lived in and utilized, not really lived in, they utilized survival mode in its most primitive form. Because back then, we're thinking like, back when they had to actually hunt their food themselves and, wrestle it to the ground, kill it, take it back, cook it, every day that was their job, was to go out and hunt food and be able to bring it back and live off and be able to survive. And so in order to remain the hunter and not become the hunted, you had to be in survival mode. And so that was a primary part of your life. Every time you went outside of your cave, your hut, your whatever, you could be attacked by anything. And so you had to constantly live in that survival mode. Well, then survival mode evolved. And so when you think about just the evolution of our species in general, you have cultural disenfranchisement. So you go from caveman, hunter, hut living, that type of thing, to now we're into slavery, we're into the Holocaust. You have cultures of people being oppressed, taken captive, that's survival mode. You're constantly still then living in survival mode. Your method, your mode each day is like, how am I going to survive this? How am I going to not get raped by my slave master? How am I not going to get beat? How am I not going to get caught, living underneath the ground, hiding? That became a daily part of your psyche. And so that we have been conditioned to live in fear and survival mode more often than not. And as our species and our generations have evolved, we keep subconsciously passing that down. And so fast forward to today, most of us spend 70% of our time internally in survival mode, which is now stress mode. It's the same thing. We're always anticipating the worst possible outcome. We're worried about what's next, what's going to happen. You're anxious all day. You're tense, even to get granular subconsciously. A lot of times when we have traumatic experiences, our mind takes a snapshot of that experience and that emotion that ensued from that experience, and it stores it. And so when survival mode comes, and you're kicked into that, it's going back, it's always flashing like, remember this? Oh yeah, we got to be careful of this. We got to be mindful of this. And so we think that could apply to, the bigger things like, oh, I need to keep myself safe from a car hitting me. But this can be as simple as infidelity in a relationship. So let's just say your partner was cheating on you and you found out. Maybe you caught them. Maybe you found some phone records, text messages, however all that happens. You argue, you guys have this heated argument, and you, in that time, you're upset, you're crying, you're shaking. I mean, your body is on 10, elevated heart rate, shallow breathing, your pulse is, at its maximum. You're sweating like it's a lot. And so your brain takes a snapshot of that. And so now, even though that relationship has dissolved, that piece, that snapshot is still with you. So now as you're interacting in other, relationships, you're in the dating world, maybe you're in a new relationship, anytime anything seems possibly awry, your mind is going to give you, remember this, survival mode. So now you're tense, you're preempting like, well, maybe he's cheating, maybe she's cheating, maybe he's texting so-and-so, maybe she's doing this. It's survival mode. And your subconscious mind is doing that because, again, that's its job. It's supposed to keep you on your toes. But where we go wrong nowadays is that we let it control us instead of letting it be our partner. Its role, not only it is survival, but it's your nervous system, your blinking, your breathing, your things that we do so unconsciously every day. So you want your subconscious mind to do its job, but you do not want it to take over. You want it to do what it is supposed to do, and then the rest of your brain should do what it's designed to do. But if you are not cognizant of that, then you're living in survival mode, which is now stress mode, read anxiety, depression, worry, all of those things, 70% of the day, 70% of our time. And so when you think about that, when your body is in quote unquote survival mode, your muscles are tense. Your heartbeat is irregular. It's racing. It's the symptoms of what anxiety or a panic attack could feel like. And so if you think about it, if you are living in that mode 70% of your day and your body is in overdrive internally 70% of the day over the long period of time, that's not healthy. And the sad part is we do it so much that it doesn't sometimes even feel that different. So like you're walking around with like your muscles tense, your stomach is tense, your heart, you're clenching your jaw. You don't even realize it. And so when you have that chronic tension, that leads to other diseases, that leads to illnesses, because your body cannot maintain that type of tension chronically and survive over a long period of time. So that's why it is so important to understand what survival mode is and when you are living in it, because you want to be able to separate yourself from it. And we're going to talk today we're going to break down what survival mode looks like. We're going to break down what creation mode looks like. And we're going to talk through how we can deliberately live or point ourselves to living in the creation mode more often than not. So let's talk through what the survival mode emotions are. So again, to your subconscious, the unknown is dangerous. And so what survival mode emotions look like are anger, aggression, anxiety, fear, worry, hatred, competition, guilt, shame, and unworthiness. So let's hit a couple of those. So let's talk about competition, because I know that probably struck some people, because a lot of times you feel like competition's a good thing. You can healthy competition. And yes, in certain settings. So if your job is, if you play in the NBA or the NFL or you play college football, then yes, your day is going to center around a level of competition. But you have to know when to turn that on and when to turn that off. And for a lot of us who aren't professional athletes, who don't have to have competition be a huge part of our day, it's a lot of us who walk around living normal, non-athletic lives who are in competition mode constantly. And we don't realize that when you constantly feel like you have to compete, especially with people who aren't even competing with you, you're doing that subconsciously because the strongest survives. So that's the mindset. And that, again, keeps your body in a state of chronic tension. Let's also touch on anxiety, because that's a big one. That's a buzzword in our society. And anxiety, if you've heard me talk about this before, anxiety is rooted in the future. It's typically you're anxious about something that you don't know. So you're anxious about a good thing or, a bad thing. Most of the time it's a bad thing about the future that it's an unknown. And so when you're constantly anxious for whatever reason, if it's wondering what's going to happen when you open your door in the morning, or you walk into a group of people and you don't know if you feel like maybe they don't like you, or you're anxious about having to get to know them, like your body again is in survival mode. So you're tense, your heart rate's up, you're feeling your heart's pounding, your pupils are dilated, like it's a lot. You're constantly in a fight or flight, and that is not healthy over a long period of time. So our goal is to understand that survival mode exists to help us through certain things, because you are going to need survival mode in time. There are always times where you're going to need to be on your feet. Like I said, you're walking down the street, a car comes rushing by. You want to be able to move out of the way. So I'm not promoting that you should never, you should always be so happy and go lucky and you never pay attention. That's not what I'm saying at all. But the data shows that that's not what we're doing. We are living life on normal days where we don't even have to be anxious or worried about surviving, and we're worried about surviving. And so the goal here is to help you understand there's a time and a place. And because we have been conditioned to be this way, the only way to change it is to be cognizant of it and then do something different. So let's talk about what different things we can do. So our goal should be survival mode is turned on when we need to be in survival mode, and your body will naturally take you there when you need to be, because it's designed to do that. So once you have successfully created a space where you are in charge of your thoughts, then you can live in creation mode. And what the creation mode is that makes the unknown no longer a threat, but it makes the unknown exciting. So that's a different perspective. The unknown is always going to exist, but survival mode, the unknown is a threat. It's a fear. You need to be on your toes. What's going to happen? This could happen. Creation mode is, I know the unknown is here. That's why I'm in this dimension, living this life, because there's always an unknown moment by moment, but that's what's exciting, because I understand that in that moment, there's something new and awesome that I could create. And so creation mode emotions are inspiration, happiness, peace, curiosity, confidence, collaboration, which is the opposite of competition, gratitude, completeness, and mindfulness. So those are the creation mode emotions that we want to shift to, and those be our primary emotions or primary mode of operation, leaving survival mode to those times where we actually need it. So let's talk about how to shift to creation mode from survival mode. And I wanted to note, creation mode is creation mode, but it's also self-soothing mode. It's also self-healing mode. All of those are in this one and the same, because creation mode is a higher vibration. And so from there, like you all know what I'm about to say, you have access to higher consciousness. And so you're able to be inspired and get creative and have different ideas. You're curious about things and you're building something and you're walking in with confidence because you know that everything's always working out for you. That's creation mode. So how do we shift ourselves from survival mode to creation mode? So I have 3 techniques that I think are quick hits that work, that don't cost a thing. The only thing they cost is time. So the first one is gratitude. Gratitude is an important key to living in creation mode because the emotion your body feels from gratitude is as if you already have received something you're wanting. If you're being thankful for something in advance, or when you're being thankful for something that you already have, it's your body is releasing oxytocin and you're getting the feel goods. That's the opposite of what it releases when you're feeling anxiety or aggression or anger. So you want to put your body, train it to constantly be used to those feelings of inspiration and happiness and elation. And that comes from gratitude. And so when you're in that state, then you're able to draw ideas and other things to you. And then it puts you back on a path to positivity and creation. So what I like to do for gratitude, and I tell my clients this too, I have a gratitude list of things. I used to have like 10 or 15 things. Now I probably have like 4 or 5. It just depends. But you make a list. If you're just starting out, put 5 or 6 things on there. But every day you think about those things. And so you wake up, like I've told you guys before, you're doing your morning routine, you're making your coffee, your breakfast, you're making the kids' lunches, whatever it is. But you are internally in your head, you're just saying thank you for whatever it is that makes you happy that day, or consistently. It could be your dog. It could be, a place. Maybe you're happy that the beach exists because you love to walk on it, but you're going to pick a few things that consistently bring you joy and you're going to think about them as you go about your day. And so the method I use for that is for each thing I say to myself, let's take my dog, Brooke, who I've had for 13 years and I love her to death. So she is on my gratitude list. So if I'm thinking about her, I say to myself, thank you, thank you, thank you for Brooke. And as I'm saying that, I'm starting to feel this like overwhelming sense of appreciation for her. She brings me joy. She brings me unconditional love. We've been together for 13 years doing life together and we love each other and she makes me happy. So that's just an example. And you do that for everything on your list. This shifts your energy. That feeling anxiety cannot exist when you are deliberately in that space because those two are so opposite. So that's a version of, that's item 1 on how to shift to creation mode from survival mode. Item number 2 is meditation. Meditation is so powerful, and it's because meditation, let's get into the science of this. Meditation shuts down your fight or flight response, and it triggers your parasympathetic nervous system. So let's talk about what that is. So as a human, our nervous system is broken up into 2 parts: the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system, think survival mode. Its main function is to keep us alive. So it is responsible for fight or flight. And again, we need that because there is a element of needing to be on guard in certain situations. You're walking through traffic, you're walking, in any situation. We don't have to go down the array of things, but you guys understand what I'm saying. So that is needed. And the sympathetic nervous system manages that, and it does it unconsciously. The parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for what people call rest and digest. So it actually reduces stress. It relaxes you. and it helps you raise your vibration or raise your calmness, your peacefulness. So it's the opposite of fight or flight. And these things exist and they need to be able to work in harmony together. And so when you meditate, you're training your body on how to use that skill or use that parasympathetic nervous system the same way we walk around and unconsciously train our body in fight or flight. So that's why meditation is so important, because it sets a new positive baseline. So my recommendation for meditation is doing it in the morning, right when you wake up, before your subconscious mind starts to throw in all the stuff from yesterday that you were pissed about or that you didn't do, or stuff you got going on today that you're like, oh God, I gotta go do that. I got this presentation. Before all that starts, right when you wake up, after you wash your face or brush your teeth, go right into a meditation. Or even before that, go right into a meditation. That way you are setting a positive baseline for yourself. And I can tell you, it is like training a muscle. So you're not going to be perfect at it at first, and you're not going to see the end results after meditating once or twice. The goal is just take it day by day. So when I first started meditating, I would feel amazing when I was finished. And then by the time I opened my eyes and brushed my teeth and turned the news on, I would be back to normal. Like, oh, this is ridiculous. I'd be in a weird mood. I'd be thinking about all the stuff I got to do. And so the more consistently that I did it, it took longer for me to switch into fight or flight mode. So maybe I could make it to, getting all the way ready to leave the house for work and getting in the car. Then when I get into traffic, I'm back to aggression, hatred, all this other stuff I've got going on, thinking about what I have to do in the office today and who's going to get on my nerves, Then I kept doing it longer. Then when I would get in the car, I'd be in such a good mood, I'd go right into my gratitude list. By the time I got to work, I'm like completely in creation mode. So I'm inspired. I'm happy. My light is shining to everyone. I'm positive. I'm hit with all this stuff and I'm looking at it like, okay, all right, well, that's not the end of the world. We can handle it like this, as opposed to coming in when I have been in fight or flight or survival mode since I woke up and then jumping into a day. So that is why meditation is important. And remember, just consistently do it. And each day you will find yourself feeling amazing longer and longer and longer. And that's really the goal, until you can get to a decent portion of your day feeling amazing. And things will happen because you can't control the outside world. So contrast is going to come. People are going to get on your nerves. They're going to say things. They're going to be mean. But when you have yourself at a positive baseline, your interpretations of that is what you can control. And when you are in creation mode, you are in a space where those things do not impact you as negatively as they did before. And when they don't impact you negatively, you don't get the chronic, consistent tension that comes from thoughts of anxiety, fear, worry, hatred, guilt. Your body is not responding to those emotions internally anymore because you're in creation mode. And so instead of anger, there's peace. And that is a different internal response. Your muscles are relaxed. They're not tense. And so although things could be coming at you, there's still a peace about it. So that's my spiel on meditation. I'll get off my meditation soapbox. So the third and the last tip on how to shift to creation mode is affirmations. And I if you've listened to a lot of my podcast or my YouTube videos, you know how I feel about affirmations. I love them. And let's just kind of break them down for everyone else who may not be as familiar. So affirmation, to affirm something, means to make a positive, confident statement. So the key to affirmations is that you actually, one, need to understand what they are and truly believe that they work. And so what affirmations are, they're short and concise statements that you're saying to yourself. And you're really talking to your subconscious mind. The thing about affirmations is that we do them anyway unconsciously. You are saying statements to yourself that your subconscious mind is adopting every day. You don't even notice it. You do it so much. Like I used to always say, this is so annoying. I'm so annoyed. Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. I'm so annoyed. And I would say that throughout the day about everything. That's an affirmation. I am so annoyed is an affirmation. And so now my subconscious is starting to believe that every day that I'm annoyed. So guess what? Now it believes that I'm annoyed all the time. So anytime I'm just living my life and things are happening to me, I'm so annoyed about it. I'm drawing in more things that make me annoyed. And so the key here is we do affirmations any day anyway. You just don't know you're doing them. So when you can go about them deliberately and you're deliberately programming in positivity, then you are propelling yourself into creation mode, because now your subconscious mind is believing something on the positive end, which it will do. Again, it is your partner. You have to work with it and not assume that it has all the power, because it doesn't. So with affirmations, they should be short, concise statements. They need to be short and concise so that your subconscious actually engages. Because if you start these long, drawn out things, your subconscious is going to be like, okay, moving on. Almost like you're reading a book. Like it's engaged, but it's not really engaged. But when you're talking to it and you're saying, I am this, it's listening. So I want to give you an example. So let's talk about, let's say you are feeling ill, like you're sick, or maybe you're going through treatments for something, or you have an ailment on your body that you're in a cast or anything like that to deal with illness or an ailment. And so you write an affirmation for yourself that you want to say every day. When your affirmations are too long, they are not going to stick. So an example is I'm having illness and I want to write an affirmation, and it says, the power of the universe is flowing through me, filling my body with light and healing and health. That's a great thing, but it's too long. And your subconscious is not engaged because it's not an I am present moment statement. So a shorter version of that is I am healed. Nothing wrong with I am healed, right? Nothing wrong with it. But if I am healed doesn't feel believable to you because you feel like shit right now, or your broken arm is aching and you know it's not healed because you just left the hospital and got the cast put on, or you just finished a treatment and you feel horrible, I am healed is not believable. But what is? How about my body is healing now? Now that's believable because you can program my body is healing now. It's getting better every day. I'm feeling better every day. That's believable. And so you want to work your way up the ladder. So my body is healing now is a perfect affirmation for the state that you're in at the moment, assuming you're feeling like the example I gave. Then let's say you're feeling better and better. And let's say you've been doing this affirmation for like 2 or 3 weeks and you're feeling really good. Then switch it to like, I am healed. Because now that's more believable. And so you're working your way up and your subconscious is adopting and believing. So those are my 3 tips on how to shift to creation mode versus survival mode: gratitude, meditation, and affirmations. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you are vibrating higher now than you were when you started this episode. If so, make sure that you follow the Vibrate Higher podcast and forward it to any like-minded souls that want to be fed and that are on their self-development journey. Also, make sure you follow at Zenergy Group on Instagram and Facebook. Zenergy is Zenergy. That's Zenergy at Zenergy Group.
on Facebook and Instagram. And lastly, leave me some comments. Let me know how you feel about this episode. And also let me know if there are any other topics that you are struggling with that we can dive into. I wish you love and light, and I can't wait to talk to you again.